talking games.
If you haven't already done so, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below. Thanks. How's it going, guys? I thought I'd do a little bit of a different kind of video today. I don't normally do like tech roundup kind of videos or really talk about new stuff coming out, and maybe I should start doing that a little bit more. But I watched the video today. Basically, it's like, NVIDIA's E3, or where they come out and talk about their new technology, and of course they're talking about the new RTX 3000 series, the Ampere GPUs that are going to be launching here soon. Like I said, they just announced them today. They went over the 3 different models that'll be coming out at launch, and then they kind of went over the specs a little bit of each one and kind of what features are going to be coming down the pike with each thing. But I just thought I'd do a quick little thing because I went on the EVGA website and they've already got the new products listed up there. You can't buy them yet. There's no product link to purchase anything, but they do have, like, you can look at images of the new types of cards that will be available. But I thought we'd start off here on the GeForce website that just mentions that these are coming up for sale. Of course, you can't get one yet. And it says available on September 17th, but that's not all of them. So we'll scroll down here and go over the specs of each one and when they should be launching. But so the GeForce RTX 3070, which they said is going to be faster than a 2080 Ti, which, looking at the specs, I can see that it probably would be, although it doesn't have as much memory as a 2080 Ti, and it's still GDDR6, so it's Ampere cores. It's probably so the cores are probably, it's a faster core architecture, and they probably have, I don't remember how many cores an RTX 2080 Ti has, but I believe this is a few more cores, so it's going to be faster in that regard, but it doesn't have as much memory, and it's not using the GDDR6X like the 3080 and the 3090 have. So I don't know. I don't think maybe it'll do as well in 4K, maybe it won't. They said that this card is a little, a bit faster than a 2080 Ti, but again, I would kind of question in what scenario, depending on like the resolution you want to play at, because the 2080 Ti has 11 gigs of memory and this only has 8. So, we'll see. Then they've got the what they called their flagship GPU, which is the RTX 3080. That has 8,704 CUDA cores with a boost clock of 1.71 gigahertz. This has 10 gigs of memory, but it's GDDR6X. So, that's going to be a fast as hell card. I don't remember the exact speeds that they had of the memory. I'll see if I can find that out here in a minute, but I'd like to see if they have any more detailed specifications here than this. But just as a broad strokes look at it, that's going to be a super fast card. They said that's substantially faster than a 2080 Ti. And then finally we have the 3090, which is massive. Like, he pulled the thing out of he had it sitting in his oven, which I thought was funny. But this has 10,494 CUDA cores, 1.7 gigahertz boost clock, but this has 24 gigs of GDDR6X, and they pretty much made it clear that this was intended to take the place of the Titan this time around. And this is going to be okay. So like the prices on these, let's see if they mentioned the prices on here. Yeah, so the 3070 starts at $500, and this is the Founders Edition, as usual. So sometimes, or quite often I should say, like, we're going to look at the EVGA cards here in a minute, but the EVGA cards will have, they'll have like their black edition, or they'll have some kind of an entry-level edition of the 3070, for example, that'll probably actually cost a bit less than this, but a little hard to tell. But I know that, like, when the 2080 Ti or the 20 series came out, they had like, the Founders Edition 2080 Ti was like $1,200, but the on the EVGA side, they had, again, like their basic blower fan black edition card, and it was like $1,000. I think it was $999. So you can get them probably for less than these price points from competing, or from the AIB partner companies. But anyways, so this is the 3070. They said it isn't going to be available until October, and it doesn't actually even have like a specific day on it. So that might be a little sketchy as to when that'll come out, but those would be a real good bang for your buck. And they even said, like I said, these are faster supposedly than a 2080 Ti. Like the 3060, which they didn't go over really to speak of, other than that I think they mentioned that it would exist, but like when that'll launch, unsure. Probably a couple months yet. But that is going to be probably a price point of, let's say, about $400 to start, and that'll be about the same speed as a 2080 Ti. Although, again, memory amount I mean, if this has 8 gigs of GDDR6, I would assume that like a 3060 might have, it might still have 8 gigs, but it might only have 6 gigs. And so for higher resolutions, I think that you're going to find that those cards probably are not going to be capable of handling much better than, 1080p or some moderate gaming at 1440p. Hard to say. We'll have to wait for them to come out and see what benchmarks are like, but that's a good guess, I would think. The 3080 starts at $700, but before, you figure the 2080 started at that same price point, and this thing is significantly faster than a 2080 Ti, so that's really good, bang for your buck here. They're actually doing pretty good performance per dollar this time around. I would argue that, that they've brought the prices down, which is nice. At least, I don't know, depends on how you look at it, I guess. But again, if you start at $700 for the Founders Edition, theoretically, there will be AIB partner cards that may start at more like $650 or something like that. Probably a marginal difference there, but those are going to be the first ones to launch. Those will be available on 17th of September here, so about 2.5 weeks from the time of making this video. Today is the 1st of September. And then finally, we have the Big Daddy, the RTX 3090, which starts at $1,500, and that'll be available on the 24th of September. But that'll, I don't know who I'm going to necessarily go through. I think what I'm going to look at, so like let's jump over to the EVGA website now. The one I was going to look at would be, we'll look at it here in a minute, but they have a hybrid version of it, and I was thinking that's probably the way to go, especially, like, I'm probably not going to get 2 of them and try to run them in SLI because that's crazy, and I don't even have an NVLink bridge that would work for that right now, and I don't know if it would fit because they're such large cards, but we'll look at that in a second. So these are the available 3070s that'll be coming first from EVGA. So we have the XC3, which is clearly, by the look of it, some kind of a 3-fan design. These are a 2-slot card, unlike some of the bigger ones are 3 slots. But these are a 2-slot card. Looks like there's not a whole lot of lighting or anything like that, but they mentioned just kind of some general information on here. Obviously, we're not. This is ICX3 they're up to now, and they kind of show like how the card physically is broken down. But we're not going to probably get any real specifications on these cards until they're available actually for purchase on the site, like as far as, what cards are overclocked to what out of the box, if they have additional memory options or something. Like I know that EVGA in the past sometimes has done cards that have more memory, like back when the GTX 780 came out, for example. Those were a 3 gig GDDR5 card, and EVGA had a 6 gig version of it. So possible they may make some variations that we haven't seen yet, but these are the the early offerings. And they have a For the Win 3 edition, which, as you can see, has some RGB lighting options and this strangely placed red looking thing. And this looks to be, as you can see, that's 2 slots and a bit further beyond that. So this is about a 2.5 slot card just on the 3070. These are all really monstrously big cards. Here we got the 3080s. So again, the XE3 and the For the Win 3 look basically identical to their 3070 counterparts, probably about the same size by the looks of it. And some of these images may or may not even be accurate. They may not represent the final product. They got a hybrid edition, which I think it's pretty plain Jane, but honestly I kind of like that to some degree. It's like I've sort of gotten away from doing RGB in my systems, so that'll be fine. This is this is good for 4K gaming that they're mentioning here. And then they have a hydro copper version, which will come with a nice water block pre-installed for you if you wanted to do a custom loop. I think that's going to be the way to go if you actually wanted to do a pair of 3090s. Apparently they've completely eliminated SLI as an option from any card below a 3090. They don't even have the NVLink connector anymore. And the only reason they kept it for the 3090 is because they're actually more of a Titan replacement. Like they're a gaming card too, don't get me wrong. Like the RTX Titan that I have is kind of like a best of both worlds card. It's designed for gaming and for deep learning applications. Same thing with the 3090. It's intended to supposedly supplant the Titan lineup. Although, what they did last time where they had the 2080 Ti and that was supposed to be the big dog, and then they released the RTX Titan like a month later. So I wouldn't be horribly surprised, given that the 3090 is only $1,500. I say only $1,500, but excuse me. I wouldn't be horribly surprised if they get sneaky and decide that they want to put a, like a Titan Ampere edition card out here, like in December or something like that, or early next year, like they pulled last time. I really wouldn't be surprised, but that will, of course, if they do that, you figure it'll probably be $2,500 for like $3,000 or something stupid. So, and it'll be more aimed at, again, like the deep learning market as opposed to really gaming. They're not, dollars to donuts. They're not particularly great performance per dollar for gaming, but like again with my Titan, I use it for like my deep fakes that I do. That's pretty much what I'm going to be using my 3090 for. I will definitely game on it, and I'll do some benchmarks on it when I get around to playing with that on the channel. But one thing I want to test it on too, as some of you may know, again, I've done videos about my TV, which is the LG. It's a NanoCell 2019, but it's a 4K 120 hertz TV with an HDMI 2.1. I'll be able to utilize that on the 3090 and game in true 4K 120 frames a second. The 3090, according to NVIDIA, can game in 8K at 60 frames a second. Now, what games they tested that on, they didn't show, of course, and what settings we're talking about, of course, they also did not show. But as powerful as Ampere is supposed to be, coupled with the 24 gigs of GDDR6X, they may not be lying. We'll have to wait and see. When I get one, I will definitely have to try some gaming in 8K. I'll just have to use DSR because I don't have an 8K panel. That might be something I get in the future, but they're all very expensive as far as I can tell, and I don't know if there'd be that much benefit to me doing that. It's like you'd have to squint to read anything on it. So, I guess you could scale it, but anyway, so we have the XE3 here. We have the For the Win 3 again, which again, these two look just like their previous counterparts. They got the hybrid again, which as far as I can tell, looks the same as the previous counterpart. Say PX1, I don't really know what PX1 is supposed to stand for, but this is probably what I'm looking at going with, because they usually are pretty good price performance ratio when it comes. Again, like the base card's gonna be like $1,500. This will probably be like $1,600 or $1,700. But if you bought the card by itself and then bought like one of their hybrid kits later on, A, you've got to put it on yourself, which is a bit of a pain in the neck to do that, and then B, you're talking about it's going to actually cost probably more to do it separately. So I'll probably pick up a hybrid card. And from the look of it, again, these may be early images. They may not be 100% accurate, but at least this is a 2-slot card. So it takes up a little less space. It should run relatively cool, I would hope. Although they're extremely tall, you can tell how high this goes above the bracket. Like I don't know the exact dimensions of the card, but just ridiculously physically large. The Founders Editions ones are 3-slot and that tall as well, because they use an air cooler. That's supposedly the air cooling on them, according to the CEO from NVIDIA, that they were extremely efficient, and that they were much better than the Founders Editions coolers from the 20 series, and that they were supposedly would keep the card like 20 degrees cooler than that. I don't know how that can be possible when these things use like 400 watts. So we'll see how that pans out. But this is the card that I'm eyeing right now. I'd love to get a Kingpin Edition card, but it's almost a pointless card to get unless you're going to like liquid nitrogen cool it, in which case you're going to have to rip off that nice cooler that it comes with anyway. We'll look at here in a second. But they do have the hydro copper again for the 3090, which if you were going to do, if you were going to SLI any of these things, these are the cards that you'd want to look at because of their size. Looks like this is where you can take off like a cap here, and that's probably where the NVLink connector is still hiding at. But I was going to say, like, if you were going to try to SLI these cards, you would have to use probably one of these three, because these are 2.5 slots. They're pretty much going to be bumping into each other and blowing hot air on each other. These again are quite large. This looks like it's more like 2 slots and not quite as tall. So that might be, again, like if you didn't want to buy a more expensive card, you might be able to link 2 of these together. I can't imagine that there's any CPU right now that wouldn't be bottlenecked by attempting to run 2 of these cards, because you figure Intel doesn't even have any PCI Express 4.0 platforms yet. They released the 10th gen Intel chips, and they didn't even bother to make any, they still are PCI Express 3.0. So these are 4.0 cards. Whether or not they're going to saturate that slot, I would expect they probably would. And even the 10th Gen i9 would likely bottleneck 2 of these cards, especially because that only has 16 PCI Express lanes, so you'd only be able to give 8 to each card. So running these in SLI is probably a foregone conclusion that no, most people are probably not going to try to do it. For gaming purposes, it's ostensibly useless. There's like almost no games that support SLI. The only reason I might choose to do it is I might take my Titan and put it in my second PC and get 2 of these and run them in SLI or an NVLink, whatever, because you can apparently, when you use NVLink for deep learning, it will actually double your memory amount. So not only would I be able to goof around with it for the few games that I could actually try it on, like Witcher 3 works with SLI really well, so it'd be hilarious to try Witcher 3 with a dual 3090 setup and see if we could play it in 8K and get about 140 frames a second. That'd be hilarious. But anywho, but you'd need an asinine power supply. You figure my Threadripper uses 280 watts. Each of these uses like 400 watts. You know, that's a lot of watts, boys and girls. You'd probably have to have, like I say, about a 1600 watt supply minus 1200 watts. So I'd have to get a different one, or I'd have to daisy chain a couple supplies or something. But anywho, oh, my computer is acting like it's processing something. All right. Anyways, but the final card being the Kingpin card. This doesn't show you really in the image. I don't know. Nah, they're just breaking down ICX down here. So that's not really telling us what that card looks like. It doesn't look like there's anything I can scroll up to look at it. But I know in the past generations, these have all copper cooling. Like you can kind of see, let's open it in a new tab and see if we can get a better, you can kind of see like the coloration in there has a bit of an orange color to it. It's probably a copper block, which is cool. And then I think the one for the 2080 Ti had like a 240 or a 280 millimeter radiator on it. So they're really well cooled. I mean, the regular hybrids, at least in the past, have had 120 millimeter radiators on them. I don't know what they're going to be doing this time. They might up the ante on that a little bit because, again, these cards use like 400 watts. So to cool that much, dissipate that kind of power, I mean, a 120 millimeter radiator may not cut the mustard. I don't really know. We'll have to wait and see how that goes. But anyways, I hope this kind of video has been informative to you guys. This is just a little walkthrough because, like I said, I was kind of perusing the site and noticed that they had already posted the new offerings. But again, these won't be out for a little while yet. We got to wait for October for 3070s. So for those of you who want to go for kind of the mid-range card, you're going to have to wait until October, at least it says, and who knows when. And I guarantee you, every one of these kind of cards, if you don't buy it in the first 15 minutes, you will not get one until a while. Because the scalpers that will go on, I mean, I don't know how much you guys have paid attention to this kind of stuff, but if you go on, like Amazon, for example, you'll see third-party sellers on there always trying to sell, like, for example, 2080 Ti's for, you know, $200 more than the damn thing costs new, and theirs is used. I don't know what that noise was. I thought I heard my phone or something. Sorry. But invariably, people will buy up, you know, 5 or 10 of these or something. That's why a lot of the sites will limit the purchase to like 2, but a lot of people will just make more than one account, and they'll buy up a bunch of these cards, and then they'll be selling them on eBay, and these will be up there for $600-700, and these will be up there for $900, and these will be up there for $2,000, and people will frickin' pay it. So if you don't want the scalpers to get anything out of you, either you got to get on the money, and like I said, you got to be able to buy stuff immediately. Just as an example, when the R9 290X came out, I don't remember what year that was, but I want to say it was like 2012 or 2013. That's the same time frame as the GTX 780 I mentioned earlier. Those cards were gone in 15 minutes. I got 2 of them, but I bought one up front, and I had to get the other one later on because they sold so fast that it came out of my shopping cart, and I couldn't buy it. It was gone. And so, Johnny on the spot, be watching when these launch days occur on your favorite site, whatever you plan to buy it from, whether Amazon gets huge traffic, but EVGA site will get huge traffic too. I've bought from them on launch day before, and it's like they're getting DDoSed. The site will be so busy. You know, it'll load really sluggishly. You'll get this, they have this error message that has a big parking cone on it. It's kind of funny, but it'll say like, you know, we're sorry, the site is currently under maintenance. It's not under maintenance. It's under basically what amounts to a DDoS attack, because so many people are trying to get a video card into their cart and order one. So just bear that in mind. But again, hope this has been sort of useful information to you. Hope those strategies about buying a card have been useful to you. If you don't get one up front, I would wait a little while. Because again, I mean, you can watch, you know, bring up Newegg, bring up Amazon, bring up the EVGA website, If you don't want to go with EVGA and you want another, you have a different brand that you buy from, that's your business. I choose EVGA because I think most of their cards are pretty aesthetic looking. I mean, at least these hybrids do. I think this looks a little dorky, but they're sort of hit or miss. But most of their cards I think look good. But their warranty program is excellent, and they have the step up program as well. Which, if you guys aren't familiar with the step up program, when you buy a card within like 90 days, if something newer comes out and you get buyer's remorse, they'll let you send the card you bought back to them and get the newer card that comes out. And all you got to do is pay the difference in cost. I think they cover the shipping and all that stuff too. You're pretty much just paying whatever the price differential is. So they're a pretty awesome company about that kind of thing. Their tech support's really good. If you have a problem with the product, which I've had bizarre problems in the past when I was trying to SLI 2080 Ti's, and it turned out to be unrelated to the hardware, but they were very good. You can call them any time of the day. They have American-based tech support, so you'll get somebody who speaks English fluently, and they know their stuff really well. So, all right, I'm done rambling. Hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you like this kind of content, please give the video a thumbs up, leave a comment in the comment section, and consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you guys again real soon. Later.